Someday we're going to look back and be amazed that you could actually buy a whole Bitcoin for less than $100,000. Yesterday, we saw an all-time high Bitcoin, 93,000. Fun fact here, Bitcoin took 9 years to reach 20K, and it has jumped by more than that just the past week. Ever since the Bitcoin president won the election, there's been a massive surge of inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs, more than $21 billion in a week. We have institutions hoarding more and more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy just bought another 27,200 more, which is their biggest purchase in years. Google searches for crypto have spiked, but that's not why we're here today. Oh no, today on Dumb Money, why we think Bitcoin's true value is still underestimated. We're going to reveal what we're calling the Bitcoin best kept secret.
This is Dumb Money Live.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. Welcome to Dumb Money Live, reminding you, make markets green again. Smash the old like button. Chris, Jordan, it feels like deja vu because we started the show not on the air, so we just did it all again.
And also doing 2 shows in a week. This is like old times. This feels like the pandemic days.
We're back. We're back.
Do you
I almost forgot. I was almost on a bike ride, and then I just happened to remember.
And Chris was running late because he was still at the coffee shop. So,
do you remember that we actually would do this every day? We were doing this every day during the pandemic. Every single, sometimes weekends. We were on Saturdays.
We would have emergency shows on the weekends because things were getting crazy. And I feel like we're kind of getting back to that. I mean, markets have pulled back the last couple of days, but everything's on fire and people are actually interested in talking about stocks again, which is good for us, right?
Did you come up with make markets green again? Was that you or did you steal that?
I feel like I may have made it up there.
Oh my god,
I'm sure someone came up with that, but I did design a hat yesterday that I'm going to try to put into our merch store. Yeah.
Can I get one of those expressed for next week before my like Thanksgiving? I gotta have that hat, please.
I will do my best. I don't know it's the 14th. We'll see if I can get it done in time.
All right, how do you get to the merch store at Dumb Money? Okay, this is the only thing we've ever sold. Is occasionally we sell a hoodie or a hat. That's
if you go to dumbmoney.tv, I think that you'll be able to find the link there. I hope. We've really not paid attention to our merch store at all.
I don't have any merch. I don't have any Dumb Money merch right now. I gotta.
I'm wearing this for the first time. We finally have cold weather. I'm putting my hoodies to use. All right. God, anyway, let's talk Bitcoin because there are 3 specific areas I want to cover today. One involves new laws, one is a new generation, and one is kind of a new attitude. So which of those 3 do you want to tackle first?
I wanted, before we get it, like, by the way, like the grand thesis that I think is the most misunderstood, or I should say underappreciated Bitcoin thesis that no one ever talks about for some reason. Let's say that for last. Let's go over the other stuff first, because I think the other stuff is kind of interesting as well. Are one of the things you were going to talk about, Dave, this whole concept of a U.S. Treasury for Bitcoin, 5% of Bitcoin. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because that's actually a bill. And I want to...
Yeah, it was introduced back in July by a senator, and it was basically inspired kind of by how the U.S. was a major gold hodler back in the day, and they're just trying to. The idea of the goal is that it would make the U.S. the largest government holder of Bitcoin, 5% of all Bitcoin. It would be 1 million Bitcoin.
I think the most interesting aspect of that particular thesis or driver of Bitcoin, potential driver of Bitcoin in the next few months, is one, the reality that it might actually happen, which is kind of irrelevant, and 2, which is even way more important, is the hype cycle that it might happen, and people, Trump potentially speaking about it as something that will happen, whether it does or doesn't, is going to be maybe a big deal the next 90 days, right? So can you actually get that approved through Congress? I don't know. But does that even matter at this point? No. The only question we need to be asking right now is, will Trump or someone in his administration pump that idea at some point in the next 2 months, prior to him taking office. I actually think the likelihood of that being a conversation topic that he addresses, could you imagine if he addresses it as part of his first 100 days? Because there are people affiliated with that administration that have been quoted saying that that is a first 100-day issue, which is insane. That's extraordinary if true, right? Like,
No, absolutely. It
could
it
you
would be
imagine?
it would be crazy, but not all that far-fetched, because if you think of how gold has been kind of the store of value and then this thing that the US used to have its currency based on, and now it just has a bunch of it sitting in a basement somewhere. Uh, how can the US not have a strategic reserve of this asset?
I I think at some point it becomes a way to de-risk, right? Like just in case. Like why not? So I want to go over the actual bill because the bill is outlined as acquiring that Bitcoin over a period of 4 years. And it would utilize existing bonds, existing gold. Okay.
Yes.
So it sounds like it would sell off some of our gold holdings to to acquire that Bitcoin. And at the end of the 4-year period, it has the US Treasury acquiring 5% of the world's Bitcoin. Okay. That is
Yeah.
that
It would be
just
paid for by both the Fed and the Treasury, and then the Treasury gets the keys to the secure vault where these Bitcoin would be locked away in their digital
the,
ledger.
Someone
the
will definitely
funny
lose the keys on a key fob somewhere. Almost guaranteed.
There's a treasure hunt in Washington D.C. for key fobs at local bars.
the funniest part of that is whenever they talk about that, they talk about it like they're actual vaults. Like I don't know,
Yeah,
like whenever I'm reading about the vault part of that concept,
yeah.
they speak
It's
about it like it's
because people don't understand that it's basically just a password. There's a password that doesn't even need a username, and if you have the password, you have the keys.
could you imagine? Like I just couldn't even okay, it might happen. So I think they have like already 180 billion that has been seized, and that would be the starter amount that they would start with. Oh, by the way, tangent to this has nothing to do with this, but while it's still in my head, you know how everyone keeps talking about the FTX disbursement of capital that is going to happen. I researched that yesterday for this episode because I think there's a lot of confusion around when that's going to happen. And it appears that that is going to happen in 2 phases. The first phase will happen between January and February of 2025. But that's only going to be like $1.5 billion because it is that phase is only for people that have $50,000 of or less owed to them.
Yeah.
But that's actually the most interesting piece of all this because people that have $50,000 or less owed to them are all getting that money, $1.5 billion,
On the same
January,
day
February.
or spread out over a very short time period.
And those are the people that are likely to put that money, and I'm not sure it's going to go into Bitcoin. It probably will to some extent, but
Yeah, but meme
I think
coins
that's
and
meme
other
coins.
yeah, yeah. That's my meme coin thesis right there.
Yeah. Now the rest of the money, which is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 billion or seven, I don't know. It's like at least 5 billion. That's going to be dispersed to people that are owed over $50,000 throughout the course of 2025. So it won't be as big of a shock to the system. And a lot of that money is actually held by institutions that likely already reallocated other funds to position themselves in crypto how they want to be positioned. So I think when they receive that money, it's not necessarily going to go back into crypto because institutions don't operate like that. Degenerates, on the other hand, the second they have money wired to their account are going to spend it in about 6 hours.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
within 6 hours of the money being wired to their account, that money is gone. I would estimate that probably 50% of it goes into meme coins, probably 25% of it goes into equities, maybe some combination of Tesla, maybe a little GameStop, some other stuff, right? And
And
25% of it goes into other things.
and on that point, I've already received. Remember when basically everything, all of the money that was like being locked away, got wiped out. I had money in Gemini. I've gotten almost 100% of that money back over the
Really?
past like 6 months.
Ah,
And Voyager has. And I have no idea how much I had in Voyager, but I got a check for like $6,000 from Voyager.
did you spend it?
What did I do with it? I think I just threw it in my bank account. I didn't immediately go buy more crypto.
All right, so I think it's really important for everyone to probably there are a few people that are associated with this Bitcoin legislation, and I did have the name. There's a lady who is from Wyoming, who is kind of the lead for this bill, uh,
Cynthia Loomis.
and
She's the
I
one who
started.
introduced the bill back in July.
I would recommend everyone probably follow her on X, maybe get alerts. That could be annoying, but get alerts for anything that she says, because what you want is to understand the degree that the administration is actually going to back this as a policy, like maybe a first 100-day policy. It could be pretty major, guys. Like if we determine that this is legitimately something the administration is going to start promoting, I think it becomes a massive, massive tailwind over the next 3 months for Bitcoin prices, honestly. So that's number one. You said something else, Dave. What was another thing before we get into the big thing? What was the other thing you want to talk about related to Bitcoin?
Well, there were two: generational, and then attitude shift.
Let's talk. I don't know what you mean by attitude shift, so let's talk about that.
The the current SEC administration has been very
Mhm.
regulatory and trying to put all sorts of protections in place for retail investors, that sort of thing, which a lot of people in the crypto market don't like the way they've handled the crypto market. And Gary Gensler, in particular, is the SEC chair. That Trump at that Bitcoin conference that he spoke at said he would fire on day one, right?
Yep.
And he got
Yep.
such a big applause from that. He didn't even realize that that was a topic that people were interested in. He just kept repeating it because he got applause, right? And so there's speculation that Gary might resign this month. If he doesn't resign, Trump said he's going to fire him. And already we've seen some changes just because we know that there's the possibility of a new administration, or a new chairman of the SEC. Robinhood has already brought back some of the coins that they previously had delisted, like Solana. Like huge news that just yesterday, I think, or the day before, Robinhood, who had backed down and said, "Yeah, we don't want to fight the government on this. We'll just delist them." They're back.
Yep. Yep. I that Jordan, we've always discussed how regulation it's like one of the two big things that could be like a major roadblock and a destroyer of anyone's crypto thesis, right? One of them is Bitcoin not being as secure as we believe it is today in the age of AI supercomputers over the next decade and how that evolves. We don't need to necessarily need to worry about that right now. But the thing that has been top of mind that could upset the entire Bitcoin story and narrative is this regulatory environment. So now that we have the Trump administration, Jordan, do you think for the next few years that's just erased? and that's going to open up a path. Because if
For
you think
Bitcoin
about it,
specifically, I don't see any danger to Bitcoin specifically. Now, if people try to rein in some of the altcoins or the issuance of speculative coins, I don't know, but
but
Bitcoin
Jordan,
specifically, I
how are
just
they
feel
going to
so
do that when
much.
Trump has his own altcoin?
That's a good point. No, it's a great point. It's all great, but
Yeah, yeah. We
I feel like
saw.
there's been so much done to legitimate Bitcoin that I don't see that turning back anytime soon.
Do you remember our too big to regulate thesis? So the thesis is that we've been talking about for years is you have a window of time to regulate Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin gets beyond a certain size of acceptance amongst the American public politically, this is a political thing, right? Once you have Bitcoin in the wallets of too many Americans, too many voting Americans, once it becomes an asset class that US voting citizens have in their portfolios at scale, it becomes too large to regulate politically. This is something that we've been talking about for a long time.
Well,
And
you got to
if
realize it's like pick your words here, but it's like this enemy from within type of thing that Congress people and senators are going to have it in their own possession. So it gets to be what's right, what's wrong doesn't even matter. What is right, what's wrong? It just is, and people use it.
that's exactly correct, Jordan. And if Trump is going to stall regulatory issues for a solid 4 years, I believe this
Yeah.
4 year period gives enough of a runway, especially now that Bitcoin has been institutionalized through, ETFs. We have the entire
Exactly, and I think as long as the government can figure out how to make sure that things are reported correctly and that they can make money off of people's coin profits, then why try to? I don't see any instance where they try to shut some of this stuff down, except for to try to regulate for consumer protections and to make sure that they get their percentage.
So the too big to regulate trade is officially on. 4 years is just too many years. By the time we are done with this,
I mean, I feel like if they
4
were
years,
going to do something major like ban cryptocurrency in general, it would have been done already. I feel like we're kind of at a no turning back type of place. It's too ubiquitous. It's in too many people's wallets and accounts.
well, think about where we are in 4 years, Jordan, with
Yeah.
no regulatory environment for that would be a true barrier to Bitcoin. This is kind of a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. This is the moment that we have been talking about for years. To be able to remove that regulatory risk, we just removed 50% of like the black swan risk for Bitcoin. 50% of it. We have always talked about two major risk factors, regulatory being one and security being the other. Now, security is kind of still sitting out there. We can kick that can down the road a little bit, but that's a big, big deal. I mean,
And I think a
I don't
big deal for it is institutions like Coinbase that offer a more legitimate type of ownership, at least in the eyes of like the federal government, because there's record keeping and there's reporting back to the government on transactions and things like that. So, I think if the government sees things like that, then it's just
by
another
the
it's just another ticker.
By the
Yeah,
way, you know what I bought? You know what I bought yesterday? And it's down. It's down today. It was down big yesterday and it's down more today. I'm not super surprised. And I don't really care because I think I might buy more of it here. Mara. So Mara Holdings is
yeah,
one of the Bitcoin miners that has really like it popped like all the other miners. It popped
yeah.
really big and then it has come down almost to where it was. Let me just check. It might have come all. It's almost down to where it was before this big pop on the Bitcoin run, which is astonishing. And the reason for that is because Mara came out and said that they were diversifying beyond crypto. So but what's wild is that the diversification that they're considering themselves now a technology company, which people didn't want to hear because this last pop was a crypto pop. Obviously, it was a Bitcoin pop. And right as the Bitcoin world was exploding, they're coming out and saying, no, we're more than Bitcoin. We're a technology company. We're going to diversify ourselves. But the diversification is into data centers for AI, which is
Yeah.
awesome. That I mean,
Yeah.
that is just as awesome as anything that's happening in crypto right now. So why would that be a negative? It's not like they're throwing their Bitcoin operations away. They're just saying that they are going to be a company that does more than that. They're going to be in two of the hottest industries in the world instead of just one.
Yeah, and
I think
they've also said that in addition to their mining operations, they're right now, because it's going to take too long to bring new mining online right now, they're just buying Bitcoin. They're just buying it. They're like a MicroStrategy in that. Funny you should mention it, because you and I did not ever discuss Mara. I also bought some calls on Mara just the other day.
Did
Are
you
you
really?
serious?
And I'm losing money on them right now because of it's just going down, but
I just like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm missing something here.
I've been in and out of Mara. I've heard that part of that diversification is the halvening, and that it's less profitable to be a miner at this point.
Okay,
it is less
fine.
profitable, but at these prices, once
Right. Well, I
Bitcoin's
mean,
at
it's
100,000, at 200,000, it changes the calculus there.
but
I
yeah,
com-
but it's got to get there, right?
Listen, yes, but again, the mining, it takes a long time. We're starting to get real moats in this sector of mining due to AI sucking up so much of that bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
And the we're having issues with energy. We're having issues with water, right? Like you need
Cooling.
mass
Yeah.
amounts of water. We're having issues with noise. Like if you research this, basically counties around the country, nobody wants it's miners anymore anywhere. So if you are a miner, like, and you have that infrastructure already, and you understand how to expand that business creatively,
Yeah.
we're starting to see moats in that sector. I just think, I know, listen, it's interesting that with all this great stuff going on right now, whether it's crypto or whether it's these AI data centers, you have companies like Mar that are just getting kicked the last week because they made an announcement that just didn't, it wasn't
And
exactly what
they
people
had
wanted
their
to hear.
earnings, and they slightly missed on top and bottom line. And yeah, but if basically, as Bitcoin goes down, Mara goes down. And if
But
Bitcoin turns around for all the reasons that we're talking about today, Mara is, I think Mara is a winner.
yeah, but like rarely do you have an opportunity when you have all these tailwinds and the sector is hot, 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 and you're like, oh my gosh, all these stocks are running. Like, it's just like, is it too late? And here you have one that is basically come all the way back down over a matter of days. Because like once all these things popped, it's like, oh, I missed the pop. Now that it's come back down, you have an opportunity to reassess and be like, what? Why did it just drop? Um, I I like it. I
I
mean,
think it
just for me.
dropped
By the
because
way,
it's been up so much, right? I mean, things don't just go vertical
well,
forever.
but it's not. But Jordan, if you pull that chart, like it's just not
Yeah.
up at all. Like it's at this
Yeah.
point after the retraction, it's right back down to where it was. I don't trade price. People know that, so it's kind of irrelevant for
Yeah. For
me.
me, I just feel like I don't know enough about their business with the diversification that, I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting to discuss. Like, by the way, this is a good point in the show to just remind, before we get into our big thesis, to remind everyone that, we're not financial advisors. This is just us doing our homework, sharing our own thinking and our own trades
Yeah.
with you
Trying to
guys.
figure out our trades in real time.
Yeah. And so by all means, please don't mimic anything that we do here. The dumb money community, you guys know that. We've been saying this every day for the past 8 years on this show. But for anyone new that's following us, please don't mirror our trades. Just take this as idea generation, poke holes in our thesis, and speak to your financial advisor and make your own decisions. Our risk tolerance is crazy high.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tell
now
your financial advisor you watch these three crazy dudes on YouTube and X, and you just wanted to get his thoughts.
yes,
Jordan, I have a question for you before we get to the main thesis, because this is something we've talked about before, and I just read that Bitcoin is basically finding its own path. Their correlation to gold just hit an 11-month low.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any input. I don't know. Things become correlated and then uncorrelated all the time in financial markets. I don't have anything smart to add. I don't know.
I thought you would.
I have no idea.
Since you love like
I have no idea. Well, I mean, so gold is
weird
kind of
data,
also, what's interesting about gold is that a lot of times it's tied pretty close with interest rates, and you've seen, a lot happening with bonds lately. You've seen kind of a bearish divergence in interest rates across the spread, and so I think that's kind of had an impact with gold, and things that I don't think have anything to do with cryptocurrency at all.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so my big Bitcoin trade the last few weeks, I told you this, Dave. I'm into these Bitcoin futures on Coinbase,
I
and
still don't understand it.
it when it works, it works. I think it's like 8 times leverage, and I started buying them right when they released them. I don't know, it was a few months ago, and I just my entire Coinbase account is 100% invested in Bitcoin futures at 8x leverage. So my account has almost doubled over the last 2 weeks. I suppose it can half really quick if Bitcoin comes down. So I need to be kind of careful here, but I am 8x levered in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
My whole Coinbase
But
account.
how does that work if Bitcoin drops another 5%? Like, what is your threshold for losing it all?
So what happens is, as soon as Bitcoin starts dropping, you start getting these alerts, and it's brings a lot of anxiety because you're
It
getting
sounds
these alerts
terrible.
through email. Like every 15 minutes, you get an alert going, your account is at risk of, like, they start pulling money out of your account to meet them. It's like margin. It's like real time margin calls that are happening every 15 minutes, and it happened to me when I first placed the trade because Bitcoin was moving down before it started going up.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, dude, what is going on? I just kept on getting these emails from Coinbase saying, we're pulling money out of your account. Your account's at risk. I'm like, dude. And then Bitcoin started going, as long as you're not getting emails from Coinbase every 15 minutes, you know that it's a good day. Because if it goes down even a little bit, you're getting margin called instantaneously.
I would be way too nervous to even consider that as my strategy.
I love
Not
it
your
so
entire
much.
Coinbase account, Chris. That's insane.
I love it so much because you can trade it 24 hours, except it closes on the weekends. They don't it's just like Sunday night to Friday for some odd reason. Like
Uh-huh.
if you're trading Bitcoin, like why? I feel like the team that manages that at Coinbase, they get to go home for the
Yeah,
weekend. They
the
just don't
poor
have a
person who has to
weekend
send
shift.
you all those emails needs a break.
No, I think that's what's going on. I think that they don't have a shift to work the weekends, or is it? I don't understand why it's closed on the weekends. If it's
I
24
think the
hours a
futures
day,
market in general does have a little I don't trade futures. I don't
neither
know.
do
But I
I.
feel like there is a window that there's no futures trading. This is an interesting comment from Steven. MSTR has a very limited float and is being pushed up by Bitcoin so much that it may be put in the SPY and QQQ indexes,
Oh.
which will cause more forced buying with a
No, it won't.
limited float.
No, it won't. No, it won't. So those indexes, they have it, nothing is automatic. Those are hand chosen, and there's, I would say, a 0% chance that that would ever
Yeah.
get added
It's
to the
addition
S&P
to
500.
just their size. It has to do with their profitability. There's a whole formula for it to even be considered for the S&P.
But Dave, even if it met every qualification for consideration, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Period. It's not happening. It's not happening. Um, so I don't love that thesis. By the way, I do think still one of my favorite crypto trades is just owning Robinhood. I just owning Robin and Coinbase obviously as well. Coinbase, but Hood. The fact that Hood added Solana this last week again,
Yep.
and now it this is an interesting kind of side note on the deregulatory trade. The deregulatory trade, I think, benefits Hood in so many ways because Vlad is an animal when it comes to like new products and wanting to be in all this stuff. And the last 4 years, he's had a tremendous amount of pressure put on him from the regulatory environment, and they've withdrawn and have gotten conservative at Robinhood. In this new environment, I could see Robinhood doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Couldn't you?
Yeah, just on the rumor of Gensler being out, he relaunched all these coins. I think 3 or 4 of them.
I just think
And
I think
they are quick to move. When the presidential election, once you could which one was the first in the US? I've already deleted their app. Kalshi. Once they got it approved, he had his futures products online for you to bet on the election within days, and he had millions of people doing it. And that was a tease of the actual futures product that they're about to roll out. They're just doing so many good things at Robinhood right now.
this I still can't believe, like, if you go back in time, Vlad and his co-founder at Robinhood, I don't know if you remember this story. They were just hired coders for one of my investors in Florida, that he had a financial, a financial company in Florida, like he basically had a brokerage, and they were just like 2 hired crazy coders for his company. I'll never forget this. And this is an investor in Ticker Tags, Jordan, who's one of our LPs. And I'll never forget when they were starting Robinhood. I asked him, I was like, "Who are these?" He's like, "Oh yeah, they're sharp. They're kind of crazy, but they're sharp and crazy. But like, they just move at 100 miles an hour." And that kind of stuck in my head because we became, we were some of the earliest investors in Robinhood through Howard Lindson's fund at Social Leverage. And here we are today, and they still have that same mindset. You put them in a deregulatory administration, right? Like I can't even imagine the stuff they're going to be coming out with at Robinhood the next 2 years. Now they don't have to worry about getting squashed by government regulation. So I bought some
squashed by
I actually
regulation.
bought
I think a
some
lot of the a lot of the negative view of Robinhood has subsided also.
I agree. That's in the past as well. So Robinhood's become a pretty large position for me, and I kind of, like I said, I added some options as well this week. So
I put Robinhood's money where their mouth is on the matching funds that they gave me in my IRA. I invested all of that in Robinhood, and when they matched my funds for moving my account to them, I put all that in Robinhood stock.
Dave, I just remembered in 15 minutes I have a robot meeting.
Okay,
To talk
are we going to
about
live
robots
stream
with
it?
somebody. No. We got to get to our big kind of the thesis we've been teasing. So
all right, so we've been teasing this one, and I said it's a generational change. Basically, there's going to be a transfer of wealth. We've talked about this a little bit before, but I don't think it's fully baked into the market. I don't think people understand it. I don't think people realize how just normal crypto investing is for millennials and Gen Z.
we never dug into the data. We did an episode this summer about the $85 trillion, maybe it was 80 at the time, wealth transfer that will happen over the next 20, 25 years, and who the biggest beneficiaries would be of that wealth transfer. And one of the big takeaways from that episode is that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, would be potentially one of the largest beneficiaries of the great American wealth transfer that we expect to happen over the next couple of decades. And the reason for that is for every one gold bug in the boomer generation, there's
Or
something like
bond bug, or kids who inherit real estate that it's too expensive for them to pay taxes on, or too expensive to maintain. They're going to be dumping these lower performing assets for something that they understand, and
that's
they
right.
understand crypto.
So for one every old school gold bug, there's probably 1,000, maybe even 10,000 crypto bros out there in the world, and people are underappreciating that. And we want to discuss the actual data behind this super cycle that should result in a very slow like a slow adoption of crypto and Bitcoin specifically over the next 20 years, that you might not see it like happen all at once, but slowly but surely I think this Bitcoin market is going to just like be larger than anyone could really, like, people throw out ridiculous numbers when it comes to Bitcoin. But when you look at the data, let's discuss some of these numbers, Dave. So it says like
What
94% of cryptocurrency buyers are in the age range of 18 to 40, with Gen Z and millennials making up the majority. And we're going to discuss why this is so incredibly important. Um, because once you break it down, basically the share of Bitcoin and crypto holders, people that actually have cryptocurrency,
Mhm.
76% of them are millennials.
Yes.
76%, and 17% are Gen Z. So
So
that means that 90, no, no, hold on, 93, no, 94%.
94% of all crypto buyers are basically in the millennial and Gen Z generation. Millennial buyers outnumber Gen X by 15x. They outnumber boomers by 63x. It's it's interesting because so many of the wallets are millennial and Gen Z, but the dollar amount of those wallets is lower than Gen X because Gen X has money right now. Gen X is on that. We're Gen X, and we're on that fringe where we have money, and there's fewer of us investing into crypto. But when we do, we go big.
Okay, Dave, this is insane. This next stat is insane. So Gen X and boomers account for 6% of all crypto wallets, but they account for more than 50% of crypto holdings.
Yeah. It's
So do
like
you know what that
you
means?
take the 80-20 rule and you just squeeze it in both directions, right?
But okay, so if okay, again, if Gen X and boomers have over 50% of the crypto, but they're basically 5% of the wallets, imagine when the 95% who
Start
actually
inheriting
have the
assets.
wallets
Yes.
get all of their money. Imagine when they get all of their money. The reason why Gen X and boomers own 50% of crypto, even though almost none of them actually own crypto, because of the few that own crypto, they just have a lot of money to invest. So imagine when all of that money gets transferred to the generation that actually currently has 95% of the crypto wallets. That transfer of wealth is going to shift into crypto and Bitcoin. I don't see why everyone isn't talking about this. This is in many ways the only thing that matters in crypto. This might be 100 times more important than any other crypto thesis, than any other Bitcoin thesis that anyone has ever talked about. Okay? Because you don't have to believe in Bitcoin as being useful. You don't have to even care about it. This is just data. This
Yeah,
is like, how does this not unfold? How
the
does
same
this
way the
not
stock
happen?
market was benefited by retirement accounts getting all that money going into these indexes that are buying stocks, and it forces the stock market up. I think that, and in the future, who knows? Banks traditionally, traditional banks, and who knows? Robinhood and Coinbase could be the institutions that you hold your retirement assets in the future. I just see there's no way that it's not going to get bigger.
It's not just that it's going to get bigger. It's going to get so much bigger. I like just if you it's crazy. Like based on this, you could make a case that there is, yeah, here's what it is. Like it's a 15x. So basically just based on a demographic inheritance, the amount of capital that is going to go into Bitcoin is going to 15x just based on generational shift of wealth and
Yeah.
existing data. That doesn't even include the fact that we are very likely, I think, very likely to see a continuation of this younger generation being more and more educated about Bitcoin and crypto, and that increasing. So just if the existing demographic, based on existing demographic data, you can make a case that it will 15x just based on a transition of wealth from non-Bitcoin wallets to Bitcoin wallet individuals. That's a 15x. So if
So
that
so
fit,
so that puts Bitcoin at $1.3 million a coin.
but it does it, Dave. No. But it could be much higher than that, Dave, because
Absolutely.
if you have 15 times the demand, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just 15 times X. Like it could actually be meaningfully higher than that, which is where it gets almost stupid to try to extrapolate what this actually means for
And I
Bitcoin.
just think that if you just have to remember that the supply is capped. It's unlike any other currency that exists, a fiat currency that just continuously loses value. There's there's only a certain number that's ever going to be in the world.
I want to
And
say there,
MicroStrategy is going to own a lot of it. The US government potentially is going to own a lot of it. And I'm going to own my little chunk that I bought years ago, and it's locked away in my wallet.
I do want to say it's important because we're hyping something right now because we're excited and like we just have this thesis. We've had it for years. We've been watching it, and now it's all coming to light. But we don't know what we don't know, and we're talking about a cryptocurrency here. We're still talking about Bitcoin at the end of the day. There could be things that we don't know what we don't know
Yeah.
that could interfere with this thesis, or just the Bitcoin or crypto generally. So as investors, you have to understand there are always risk factors you can't even, you're just not aware of, that no one's aware of. But I am getting higher and higher conviction on this trade, where I used to think I would want maybe 6% max of my portfolio in Bitcoin and crypto. I might double that. At this point, I might think I want double digits of my portfolio in that sector. And by the way, when I say in that sector, I mean like some of that could be equities or miners
Yeah.
or brokerages that benefit, that are leaning into the space, like
Or
Hood,
cats,
or Coinbase. Wait, what's that, Jordan?
or cats,
What's cats?
the crypto cats that you had.
Have to
Oh,
milk. You love to milk the cats.
do you know what's so funny? I can't believe you just said that, because for the first time in months, I opened up my OpenSea account last night, and I looked at some of those cats. I only kept a couple of them, two or three of them, and they're not worth very much anymore. But I
No
still
way.
love them.
Oh, surprise!
But
You want
no,
a cat?
remember, I did sell almost all of them, and I profited greatly off of that trade. But I kept the two that I love the most, and I don't care if the value of them goes down to 1 penny. They are valuable to me. There's art for me. You know what it is though. I just realized this last night, and for anyone here that was part of the crazy NFT madness that I kind of fell into, do you remember that feeling when, or that memory when you were a kid and they would come into class with those little scholastic booklets in like first, second grade with the smelly stickers and all that? Do you remember? Did they have that when you were in first? And you would like buy them, and then you would order them off of a sheet of paper, and then
Yeah,
like
that
a
little
few weeks
strip of
later,
paper that you got to write in what you
yeah.
wanted.
And then they would bring them to class, and the kids that ordered stuff would get, and I always ordered like the stickers that had oat smell. You remember those things
Yeah,
like
scratch
back in
and
the
sniff.
80s?
Yeah, totally.
Scratch and I
You put them
still
on your
have this
trapper
wonderful
keeper.
memory. Well, I have a similar memory of 2020, 2021 of these NFTs. When I look at that OpenSea account and I look through all of these, like all these NFT like things that I did back then, I only kept a couple of each, and I'm so happy that I did exit almost everything. But I love it so much. Like I just these memories come back of the pandemic where I was trading these things at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I was part of these group chats, and
Yes,
I was bonding with these communities, and we were all psychotic. We all
your
had lost our
your
minds.
fond
Like,
memories, your fond memories of the
yeah,
pandemic.
that has value to me. And like I know it might not have value to anyone else, but money
Question.
is money. Money's money, but you can't take away that experience, the relationships, the memories of that time, and it's all represented in these images, and a couple of them are those cats. Cool cats is what they were called.
Cool
Cool
cats.
cats.
I want to know how my CryptoPunk is doing. I've not checked it.
So
I'm
I
sure
checked
you.
on those last night. The floor on CryptoPunks is roughly $100,000, Dave. So it's not bad.
Really? That's
The
not
floor
bad.
price
I
right now
mean,
is
I don't
100.
remember. I think I paid twice that, but
That's
the fact that I
okay.
can get $100,000 for those JPEGs is amazing.
it's they're
What
not
about
doing
the
bad.
Bored Apes? How are they doing?
I don't think they're doing as well. Now I have my ape still. I love that ape will beat me to the day I die, Jordan. Again, it really doesn't matter if it's valued at a penny or something, because it's like that was one of the first things I bought, and I had a cheetah in my cheetah ape, and I have the matching cheetah dog, okay, to go with it. So I love that's the only ape I have that I kept, and I love it. It's mine for life. So I don't care. What does it matter to me how much it's worth?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
that's any asset.
but
I
for
don't
me,
think that's all that matters.
yeah,
Any financial asset, I think what it's worth is the only thing that matters. It's not
but it's
like I'm
not a
going to
financial
buy
asset to me.
like a
It's
share of
not.
Apple, and then if it drops 50%, I'm going to be like, I just love this share of
But
Apple.
but
But no,
Jordan,
if you think of it
to
like an
me,
art project or your
Yeah.
house, like I don't think of your house as an investment. That's a place to
it's
live
both.
and enjoy.
It's both. It's
It's
both. It
both.
has monetary value.
So this is more than one thing, Jordan, but this is not just a piece of art. It's a shared experience. It represents something to me. Like I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it. I sold all the things from that time that represented nothing but an investment to me are gone. They're gone. They were long. I sold them really at a reasonably good time before that whole market imploded. Uh, the ones that I kept have a representation that is more than an investment to me. I don't know how we're talking about this. This is supposed to be a show about Bitcoin.
That's how we're talking about it. It was supposed to be Bitcoin, and now we're in the
Um,
Bitcoin in the weeds of Bitcoin.
okay, I have a meeting about robots in 5 minutes that I have to get on a Zoom for humanoids. So we got to wrap this up. So
Yeah.
in summary, we discussed on this show, I think, a few meaningful things that investors should be aware of as it relates to Bitcoin. Some of those things are really misunderstood and underrated as a Bitcoin thesis. And man, I just think that people need to wake up to this stuff. And we've never been like like crypto bros. Like that's not who we are. We've never been those people that are just shouting from the rooftops, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. And there's nothing wrong with those people. It's just not who we are. We have a more pragmatic view of the crypto market and Bitcoin. So I don't think there's any emotional attachment here, right, guys, between us and crypto or Bitcoin. We're not we're not like crypto warriors. Like we're gonna fight for it. Like we're just observers. But this is undeniable at this point. I think as
Absolutely.
investors, pragmatic investors. Jordan, are you in yet on
What?
this? This whole crypto Bitcoin thesis?
Yeah, I've got some. I don't care about it, but I've got some.
What is your
That means
what is
a
your
lot.
allocation? Chris
Huh?
is at 6% and is talking about going as high as 12. I'm at over 20% of my
You're over
portfolio.
20%. Yeah, I'm not.
Over
I'm,
20%.
yeah.
I believe that strongly in it.
By the way, one little shout out to our boy Leon, who's in the chat. He's our OG mod. He's our meme coin boy. And you know, Leon lives meme coins 24 hours a day now. That's his entire life. So he consults us on meme coins. I even threw him some money and said, Leon, I don't want to think about this stuff ever. Can you just like just take some money of mine and just buy and sell meme coins? I don't care if it goes to
I'm
zero.
doing the same.
Yeah, and by the way,
He's
this is not an endorsement of his. Nobody, I'm not saying that anybody should ever give him their money to do that with. But I threw him some money, but I don't want to think about meme coins ever again. So can you just do what you do, and if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. But I just know that I have a little bit of money in meme coins, and that's Leon's dealing with it.
And for me, yeah, that was always I never put money into any kind of crypto that I was not comfortable losing. It started out as a 10% move for me. It's grown because the sector's grown. It's not like I keep reallocating. It just goes up faster than everything else.
But I want to just say again, because you know Leon's probably out there trying to get other people to give him money for his meme coin. I'm not endorsing him. I've just known him for a decade and I love him. He's just a personal friend. He's a good human to me, and I just know he's crazy and he's living this stuff 24 hours a day, and I don't want to be living that meme coins 24 hours a day like Leon is. So
His
I threw him a little
portfolio
bit.
is 95% meme coins right now.
Yeah. I threw him enough money that I don't care if it goes to zero, and that's how I think about meme coins. Anyway, I gotta go, guys. I gotta hop off right this second.
That's great. We are Dumb Money, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good week.